There is something about the passion of the Lord that can easily overwhelm us. Evil in that story is so loud. You hear the shouting, "Crucify him!" You see the betrayal, the mockery, the false accusations, the abuse of power. Everything seems amplified as if the whole world has conspired to make sure that goodness is silenced. And because evil is so loud, it draws all the attention to itself. It fills the scene. It dominates the narrative. And yet, we almost fail to notice something else that is also happening quietly, almost unnoticed. Small acts of goodness. A woman breaks an alabaster jar and anoints Jesus. Someone offers him a room for his last meal. Simon of Cyrene helps carry the cross. A centurion, almost in a whisper, recognizes something no one else dares to say. At the foot of the cross, while the others have disappeared, a few disciples remain. Joseph of Arimathea gathers the courage to ask for the body of Jesus. Nicodemus, who once came in secret, now is stepping out into the light. These are not dramatic gestures. They do not stop the crucifixion, but they are there, and they matter because they tell us that even when evil appears to dominate, it never has the whole field. There is always goodness, quiet, steady, often hidden. The problem is we do not always see it because even in our own time, evil remains loud. It has learned how to project itself, how to occupy space, how to dominate the conversations, especially in the social media. It thrives in systems that reward dishonesty. It finds shelter in structures that protect the powerful and ignore the poor. It seeps into everyday life until people begin to accept what should never be acceptable. In many societies in Asia, we know this too well. Corruption becomes routine. Injustice becomes part of the landscape. The suffering of the poor becomes something we see, but no longer really notice. And slowly, we adjust. We learn how to live with it. That is how evil works. Not only by force, but by making itself familiar, by becoming normal. But the passion interrupts that. It reminds us that what is happening is not normal, that what is being done to the innocent is not acceptable, that silence too can become a form of participation. And yet, the passion does not only expose evil, it also reveals how goodness persists. Not loudly, not aggressively, but faithfully. Jesus does not meet violence with violence. He does not try to overpower. He remains what he has always been, a servant, faithful to the very end. This is so difficult for us to understand because we're used to thinking that what is loud is strong and what is quiet is weak. But the cross turns all of that upside down. It shows us a strength that does not need to shout, a goodness that does not need to dominate, a love that does not give up, even when it seems to be losing. And that is why the Passion continues to speak to us today, especially in contexts where injustice is deeply rooted, where change seems slow, where many people feel powerless. It reminds us that the struggle between good and evil is not only fought in grand gestures, it is also fought in the small, the often unnoticed choices that we make to remain honest, to refuse what is wrong, to stand even quietly on the side of what is true. Well, these may seem insignificant, but they are not. They are part of the same quiet resistance that we see in the gospel. And finally, the Passion tells us something about God, that God does not compete with evil in terms of noise. God does not need to shout. God works in silence, in fidelity, in self-giving love. And in the end, it is not the loudness of evil that prevails. It is rather the quiet, persistent power of goodness. Because the one who is crucified is the one who is raised. And that is the source of our hope. Not that evil will suddenly disappear, but that it will never have the final word. This is Pablo Virgilio, Cardinal David, Bishop of Caloocan, and Vice President of the Federation of Asian Bishops.